everyone. Welcome to this very first episode of The Conversation, a podcast dealing with everything movies and television. Of course, I'm your host, Anthony Long, and today I'm joined by my best friend, Alicia Smith.
Hi.
How are you doing today?
Great.
All right. So, I think for today, we're going to talk about a good topic that everyone's been excited to hear about, which is, of course, Spider-Man returning to the MCU. But, of course, that also asks the question of, what exactly does that mean? Now, of course, if people don't realize, so back in August, Sony had just announced that Spider-Man was going to be leaving the MCU after both them and Disney couldn't reach a deal because originally Disney wanted a 50-50 split instead, because originally they were only getting a 5% split. Apologies about the cat. There. He wanted a little extra spot, so. But yeah, originally they wanted a 5. They were originally getting only 5% of the profit intakes, while Sony was getting like 95 of it. I could be mistaken. You guys could probably let me know in the comments down below. But how did you react? What did you think about the whole split thing?
When they split.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there were so many articles, and I had to just kind of read up about it. But I don't know. It's kind of tough because I think I was mostly on Sony's side. Like, I love Tom Holland as Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
I love his movies. I think he's, like, the best Spider-Man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry for the others who disagree with me.
Yeah, but I think at this point, a lot of people have kind of said that Tom Holland is pretty much like the definitive version of the character. Even though I personally grew up with Tobey Maguire.
Right, same here.
But
and I will always have the nostalgia whenever I watch.
Yeah,
those
exactly.
movies.
But of course you got everybody who likes Tom Holland, and I don't blame him. I feel like, hey, it's probably been like the best version of the character I think we've seen on screen in like a long time. But I know a lot of people were when they first heard about the split, they were going back and forth between it, like, oh no, it's all Sony's fault. It's Disney's fault and everything.
Right.
But
I mean, it's really tough. But what I understand is, yes, Sony got like 95% of the profits from the Spider-Man movies, but from what I've also heard is that they were the ones shelling out the money for the production.
Yeah.
So to me, it made sense that they would get the money back.
Yeah, exactly.
And I mean, it was never part of the deal because it's not specifically movie related,
mm-hmm.
but Disney got all the merchandise
profits.
And that's a lot of money, just that, because Spider-Man, it's such a big thing. It's a big character. It's big, it's
because if you were to kind of like ask like who was the most popular Marvel superhero, I think a lot of people would Spider-Man would probably be most likely up that list, if not the top most popular one.
I will say, when I was growing up, I was definitely more of a DC girl.
Yeah.
I mostly just paid more attention to DC because I didn't really know too much Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I grew up with X-Men, and then there was Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But those were probably the only Marvel stories that I followed growing up. And then as I got older, I started learning more about,
and then the
all these others. The MCU came out, and then everything exploded.
Became like the box office titan as it is.
Yes. The Mad Titan.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think when I first heard about it, I honestly felt that both studios were kind of in the fault, and that's my personal opinion because, obviously for one, because I felt like by pulling Spider-Man out of the MCU, I felt like it was going to be a shot in the foot to them because, especially with how Far From Home ended, which, spoilers if you guys haven't seen it, but of course, that big cliffhanger where Mysterio reveals to the world that Spider-Man's Peter Parker, and
And I was fangirling when J.K. Simmons.
Oh
came
yeah,
out.
I was so happy.
I went so nuts.
I was so
like
happy. Yeah.
in the theater.
Yeah, I was so happy that he was back too, especially if it's going to be if it's going to be kind of a different take. I know they're kind of going for like a more Alex Jones type thing, but hey, it still works, and
it actually fits the modern version of Spider-Man for the movies.
Definitely,
because it's more realistic. That's what would happen if it was in real life. It wouldn't be like a newspaper. Like it would be like TV.
Yeah, like kind of like a what's the word I'm looking for? Like a type
fake
of
news.
Fake news, yeah, like like a fake news, like CNN or Fox News type thing,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because we know how exaggerated even they can get sometimes.
I mean, when it comes to media, everything is exaggerated.
Oh yeah, well it's always going to be, no matter what, it's always going to be an exaggerated thing. But yeah, I think a lot of people were upset with Sony. I mean, in my personal opinion, I mean, the thing I was with, because I mean, yeah, they were because when Sam Raimi was doing Spider-Man back in like the 2000s, they made two fantastic ones.
Oh yeah.
And then Spider-Man 3 happened, and a lot of people.
Spider-Man 3 had to happen.
Yeah, and a lot of people felt like, oh, okay, well that was a big letdown. And honestly, looking back at it, I didn't think it was a terrible movie. I mean, yeah, I still thought it was a worthy finale, but despite the little flaws and problems that it had.
There were good things about it, and that's undeniable.
Yeah, I mean, I liked the themes that Spider-Man 3 was playing with, but it was just like some of the other things, like I know Sam Raimi didn't want to do that Sony forced him to do, that I felt like, yeah, you probably should have just listened to Sam Raimi. So, and then of course, there's the Amazing Spider-Man films, which a lot of people tend to. Oh, I know there are fans of Andrew Garfield, but I know a lot of people tend to forget about those.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, I do think Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man was probably better than Tobey Maguire's. I like Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker better.
Yeah, exactly.
But all in all, the Amazing Spider-Man movies, they were quite forgettable. I've seen them once. Just both of them, I've seen each of them once. And I don't know, I don't know if it just came out in a weird time or what it was, but there was just nothing really memorable about
I think what the problem was is those movies were an act of desperation.
Yeah.
Because it was during a time now that like at the same year, like the MCU was now in developing, the Avengers had came out and became this big old thing, and now people are like wondering, oh, is Spider-Man going to be back in the MCU? And Sony was like freaking out because the thing was, if they didn't make a Spider-Man film in I don't know how many years, the rights automatically revert back to Marvel and Disney, and they were afraid of doing that. They're like, oh no, you're not, no, you guys aren't going to take away our franchise, because
right.
I mean, because so to speak, that is Spider-Man is Sony's bread and butter. It
really is.
Yeah, it's basically like the one film series that's basically keeping them going. But I honestly, I actually felt like Andrew Garfield, he did a good job in both movies. I felt like his biggest problem was the material he was given.
I agree.
Yeah, the material he was given.
I really have no problems with, him as the character.
Yeah.
Maybe it was just how it was written.
Yeah, it wasn't his acting or his portrayal.
Right.
It was the material he was given, and of course, you can only do so much. An actor can only do so much with the material that they're given, even if it's like even if it's like poorly written material, like you can only do so much with it. And because when I saw the first Amazing Spider-Man, it was a decent. I was like, okay, it's decent. It was a decent enough remake, but I mean, there's really nothing special about it. But I mean, it was still something that I thought was. Oh, I was like, okay, all right. Well, maybe I'm kind of curious to see what they do with it. And then then I saw the Amazing Spider-Man 2, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, no, this movie's bullshit. I'm not. Yeah, you guys have really shot yourselves in the foot with this one.
I think the problem for Amazing Spider-Man with me is I don't think there was really any heart in
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
It lacked a heart that even though Tobey Maguire was those movies were pretty.
Yeah,
campy.
they had a heart to
They were
them.
kind of cheesy and campy. And
well,
everything.
you gotta think it was the early 2000s,
right?
So
Everything was.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there was a lot of heart, and when I go back and I think about the first two Spider-Man movies, I remember them very fondly.
Yeah.
And sometimes I just go back to watch them just because.
Because there's a heart and there's a passion to those movies. You know what I mean? And yeah, you're saying it's cheesy. Well, of course. I mean, this was like 2002, 2004. That was before Christopher Nolan came in and kind of revamped things. With the Dark Knight trilogy.
Yeah, before people actually start taking superhero movies seriously.
Yeah, exactly. Even though I do feel that Spider-Man 1 was a pretty dark movie.
Right. I mean, it's kind of like with X-Men.
Yeah.
X-Men was kind of dark, a bit more serious.
Yeah.
But it still had its little campy moments.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. It was...
Yeah. I think that was like when things really started to change
for superhero
films.
Because back in the 70s and 80s, they were just the 70s, 80s, and 90s. They were just movies that really weren't taken very, very seriously.
Right.
I mean, I know Tim Burton's two Batman films. Yeah, they were very dark and did something new. But Joel Schumacher's other two had to come in and basically. Added that. I mean, added that campy feel. So I mean, like a lot of them were like very campy and like were very.
I don't know
not
if you wanted to just like capture the campiness of like the '60s Batman, or I don't know, but
yeah, definitely.
It was a little much.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but back in the 2000s was when things really started to kind of go in a more dramatic turn for them.
Right.
Yeah, but I feel like, the Amazing Spider-Man film series, like I said, it was, those movies were an act of desperation. They're like, we have to release something. There's like, in their minds, they're like, we have to release something just to hold on to the rights of their character. But, I mean, the Amazing Spider-Man 2, it came out, it was not a success. I mean, it made money, but it wasn't what they were wanting.
Right.
And then of course Sony went in panic mode, and then that's when then in 2015 they decided to go ahead and make a deal with Marvel Studios and Disney, and they said, okay, so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna reboot Spider-Man, and we're gonna have him be introduced in the Marvel Cinematic Universe with Tom Holland, and his first appearance was of course in Captain America: Civil War, which was a fantastic introduction.
It was probably. Like, I can't express how much I loved his introduction.
Yeah.
Not only because, Tom Holland was a bit more age appropriate. He's still older than the character, but he's more age appropriate.
Yeah, he's more age appropriate
and,
than anything.
He really had the character down. Like, his little quips, just like, he was great. It was just, the little things about him were great. But I cannot express how much I love that they cut out the whole Ben dying. With great power comes great responsibility.
I mean,
I'm so glad that
we don't really need to.
They jumped ahead to 6 months after he became Spider-Man.
Yeah, we don't. We really. Yeah, I mean. I mean, you can only see someone die on screen for so much. You're like, okay, enough.
All right, Uncle Ben, I'm sorry, but
it's funny because when this whole split
we know the story.
It's funny when this whole split happened. I saw this meme, and it was like basically someone's in a Spider-Man costume, kind of sitting like this, and looking at the sky, and the cap said, "When you heard you're not going to be part of the MCU anymore, so you're prepping yourself to watch Uncle Ben die for the 4th time." I was like, damn people, but
people on the internet though.
Yeah, but going back to the subject, I mean, that's where I do feel like Sony really screwed themselves up with this whole split. Um, but at the same time, I do feel like Disney was in the wrong too, because how much more money do you guys need?
Right.
You guys
They
own.
have so much money.
You
and
guys
it's
own like almost all of freaking media Hollywood.
Right. And then because of all these new movies come out, all the merchandise that comes
Yeah.
out because of it, and that's a ton of money.
Yeah,
just
definitely.
that.
Yeah,
Just the merchandise.
and not to talk about, they also own the TV rights.
Exactly.
So their TV rights too. So they've already been making bank off of that. So I mean, so for them to ask like a 50% deal, I feel like, okay, you guys are asking too much, because then basically in the eyes of Sony, they're like, yeah, I mean, yeah, we understand. We understand. We were going to give you guys full creative control over the MCU Spider-Man films, but you guys are asking for way too much money, because you got to remember, this is technically still our property. We're leasing them to you guys to
Right.
kind of help bring them into the MCU, and it's you guys and of course fans have rejoiced it, but you guys need to kind of step back. So I fully understand why Sony decided no and everything like
Yeah.
that, but
I think the problem is, the main issue that I have with everything is they need to listen to the fans, because what the fans want is for there to be more Spider-Man movies.
yeah.
We just want more Spider-Man movies with Tom Holland,
Well,
because he's fantastic
Yeah.
at the role, and he wants to do more.
Oh yeah,
Spider-Man.
And even during the whole split, he openly said that. Yeah, it's like, don't worry, guys, I'm not because I know when the split happened, everyone was wondering, oh, what does he think about the whole thing?
Right.
Because I know he said, I know they were making a big deal like, oh, he unfollowed Sony on Instagram and stuff like that, but he openly said that, hey, it doesn't matter whose hands it is, I'm still gonna play Spider-Man with the same love and enthusiasm as I've always done. So I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. So, but but of course, hold and behold, like 2 days ago, or yeah, like earlier this week, they just announced that, hey, nope, Spider-Man is now coming back to the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Right.
Because, and I guess I was looking up too, what caused that to happen was Sony came in and was like, because it happened late Thursday night. They finalized it. They finalized the papers, late Thursday night from the sources that I was reading, like Variety and like the Entertainment Weekly and the Hollywood Reporter and everything like that. Basically, what it was saying was that instead of offering a 50% split, Sony was like, okay, we won't give you half, but how does 25% sound? I mean, it's not what you guys want, but it's a lot more. It's a hell of a lot more than the original 5% profits you guys were making, and they were just
Right.
like, all right, we'll take it. We'll take it. And we'll bring it back. So yeah, and of course, everyone's happy. Tom Holland's happy. I know Zendaya is also happy.
Right.
Everyone's happy. But however, though, how long is this whole thing gonna last?
That's the biggest question.
Yeah.
Like, how long before, money's going to become a thing again?
Yeah, because
I mean, I understand their businesses.
yeah,
it
all comes down to
That's
money.
the important thing, but I don't know. I always just have that feeling that, the audience, what they want should be more.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's always
Have some importance.
yeah, and it's always a good thing to kind of listen to audience feedback, because I mean, at the end of the day, they kind of help help your movie make money, but they also be the causing factor of why your film doesn't make money. It's
Right.
word of mouth. But in the question of like how long is this going to last, in the same reports I read, that a lot of the reports I've been reading as well is that they're going to come back. They're going to do one more solo film with him, and I believe one other ensemble movie. I might be wrong about that. I might be wrong, and if I am wrong, just please let me know in the comments.
From what I've heard, Sony doesn't get any money from Spider-Man being into other MCU films.
No, because like for Captain America: Civil War, Avengers: Infinity War, and Avengers: Endgame, yeah, those are not. Yeah, they let him be part of that, but yeah, those are all strictly produced by Disney and Marvel.
Right.
Sony had no involvement in those whatsoever. Mm-hmm. So they're only involved in the solo films,
right.
in the solo MCU Spider-Man MCU films. Right. But yeah, I was reading that because they're gonna go ahead and they're still gonna do the third one. They're just to kind of completely wrap up the trilogy, and which I think is a good idea because, like I said, that big old cliffhanger from Far From Home, it kind of left you wondering like, okay, now what's gonna happen? How is he gonna get out of this?
Yeah, I'm really curious too.
Well, and
like if they had just left it,
yeah,
I would have been so mad.
It would have been, yeah, it would have been, that would have been like, okay, so, and on top of that, you're just, so it's like, okay, you're like when this split happens though, a lot of people didn't like the fact that, okay, so it's not like he can't even reference, he's not gonna be able to reference these characters anymore, these other characters he's interacting with anymore, which was very crucial, and in my opinion, that was a very crucial thing to him being in the MCU was his relationships to these other characters.
Right.
Like, like with Tony, obviously like with Tony Stark, because we saw how big of a relationship that was to Peter.
Right, and then like in the second movie, with Happy.
Yeah, with Happy,
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah, with Happy. So that like those relationships, of course, have to matter because he's way too deep in the MCU to just pull him out and say, oh yeah, that stuff that you can't reference all that stuff anymore.
Yeah, it just won't work.
Yeah, but from what I've heard is like they're gonna do that to finish off the MCU Spider-Man trilogy, and I believe have him do one more Marvel film. They haven't really said what. I've heard rumors it'd probably be the Fantastic Four movie, which there are rumors now they are getting John Krasinski to try to play Reed Richards. So if
that would be really
if
good.
that happens,
I could see that.
Yes, please. But I don't know. It's just a rumor. But and the thing about it too is because Sony, they're still planning their own Spider-Verse. Their own Spider-Man their Spider-Verse universe.
Right.
Because they got they're developing Venom 2.
That's correct.
They're still working on Morbius, the Living Vampire. They've got all kinds of movies they got planned for their universe, and they still want to try to cross Spider-Man over with their especially with Venom 2. Because I was actually reading this, and you probably didn't hear about this, but I guess Kevin Feige had an uncredited producing role on Venom.
I did not know.
Yeah.
So, want to know something really ridiculous?
What? What's up?
I still haven't watched Venom.
Well,
it's that movie that I keep saying I'm gonna watch, but I
never
just
get
never
to
get to.
Well, like I said, I mean, I know there are people who love it. Me, I'm a big Venom fan. He's like also my favorite Marvel character, but I kind of had mixed feelings about the movie. Yeah, the movie was fun, and Tom Hardy was perfectly cast. And the banter between him and Venom were pretty funny, but I felt like they kind of really rushed a lot of things, and like I said, I still strongly believe it should have been rated R. But I think they did. But I was reading also. I guess they made it PG-13 because just in case if they want just of the sole hopes of crossing Venom over to the MCU as well.
Right.
Because I even read that. They had filmed Tom Holland had filmed a cameo for Venom, but Disney and Kevin Feige told Sony, no, that has to go. That has to go. So like I said, I was pretty surprised when I heard about all this as well. So but I think because even Kevin Feige said that he's like Spider-Man's one of those characters that he's very capable of crossing universes.
Well, that's Very true.
Yeah, which is very true. Because I mean, how many different versions of Spider-Man are there in the comics, especially in like video games and media?
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you know,
There's a lot.
there's a whole lot to count, But
I mean, gosh, the whole Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
the whole
That was great.
that was actually a film that like going back to like the great Spider-Man movies that Sony produced by himself. That was one of them.
It really was.
That was one of them. And that was all without that. They did that all without Marvel's help. They did that all by themselves. And there are people who still think that's like the best Spider-Man film, Into the Spider-Verse.
It was definitely a standout, and I think it's definitely up there. Like, it was just so good. It was unlike any other movie in general.
Oh yeah, definitely, absolutely. Because the animation was something kind of unique.
It was it was very new.
It was very,
but it also just had a kind of an old vibe to it, just because of the comic books.
It was very. It was. You could tell how much inspiration they got from the comic books, especially the Miles Morales storylines and stuff like that. But I don't know. I mean, honestly, I guess we'll just wait and see what the third film does. I mean, if they do go with the third film, I think what they need to do is, have Peter have Peter not rely too much on like the other MCU characters as much. As great as Homecoming was, as great as Far From Home was, I will say that. Yeah, I felt like he was kind of overshadowed by of course Iron Man, especially in Far From Home, especially when after Tony died in Endgame,
Right.
So because there was always that lingering shadow that was following him as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I really would like to see Peter try to get this situation out himself.
I think that would be a good thing for a third movie.
Yeah, a third movie.
Just because it'll also be like watching him grow.
Yeah, exactly.
In Homecoming, he was a kid.
Yeah.
He cared about girls and his classmates
Yeah,
and
definitely.
his buddies.
Yeah, definitely.
And everything, and he's definitely growing.
Yeah, he's definitely, because
The death of Tony Stark definitely changed
him. But yeah, especially because even at the end of Far From Home, he decided that, you know what, hey, instead of just trying to be the next Iron Man, I'm just gonna be who I am, And now that the entire world knows who he is, now it's like it'd be one of those situations like, how can I get myself out of the situation,
Right.
And of course, they really should bring in Daredevil.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, bring in Charlie Cox back as Daredevil, because he's a lawyer, honestly kind of represent him, but at the same time, having them both team up to kind of like take down like some type of bigger threat that's looming in the background, like possibly be something set by Kingpin, and
I've heard that Vincent D'Onofrio would like to come into the MCU.
Yeah.
As Kingpin.
I think they should. Yeah.
It would be great.
Because
he was fantastic.
Because he's still, even though he's Daredevil's arch nemesis, he still is a Spider-Man villain.
Exactly.
He still causes problems for Peter and for Spider-Man. So absolutely, why not? Because, but. I don't know. I don't know what they announced that it's going to be coming out in 2021 in July. So at least now. How's it going, guys? So just in case you were wondering what happened to the rest of the audio, it appears that apparently our remaining audio files had just gotten lost, which would have contained a little more of us talking about the topic and of course giving out our closing statements. But what can I say? Sometimes these things happen, but I thought I might as well go ahead and sum up the end of this podcast for you guys as well. So it appears that a lot of people, of course, are happy about Spider-Man coming back to the MCU, but like we said, it does bring the question of how long can we expect this to last,
And if Spider-Man 3 does prove to be successful, will Disney try to come up with a brand new deal with Sony, or will they try to just completely buy Spider-Man and have him permanently stay in the MCU forever? But like I said, only time will tell. But I do hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. This is my very first one, and I will continue to be making more of these in the near future. So let me know what you guys think. Are you guys happy about Spider-Man coming back to the MCU, or do you guys think that Sony should just hold on to the rights and do whatever they want with him? But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. And of course, if you did enjoy this episode, please show your support by liking and sharing this, and subscribing to the channel for more future videos. Thank you once again, and I will see you guys next time.